Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into Creston. We've got some Class 1A region semifinal here today. Softball matchup between Murray and Lenox getting set to go on here in just a few moments. Lenox, the away team on the scoreboard here in Creston, a 4-12 record under head coach Mandy Stokes, and then on the other side, their opponent, Murray Mustangs, 14-8 on the season under head coach Tessa Otto, coming out tonight here in Creston. I'll go ahead and set the lineup for you here in just a few minutes. By the way, I am having some issues with the laptop here tonight, so if anything ever goes down for a moment, just be patient. I'll get it back going as fast as I can, and hopefully we can roll through this game as smoothly as we possibly can here on the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com. I'm Tate and Amy. I'll be with you here throughout the entirety of the night here tonight. The 1-2-3 due up for Lenox here to start things off. Zoe Reed, Izzy Curtis, Sadie Cox. Then the rest of their lineup, 4 through 9, goes Reese Reed, Piper Brokaw, Jolyn Christensen, Hadley Christensen, Ashlyn Ali, and then Kinsey Menifee there to line up that Lenox lineup. They'll be facing Maddie Hendricks of Murray in the circle tonight. Zoe Reed, the center fielder, steps up to the plate for the first time here tonight as Hendricks misses the strike zone for a ball on the first pitch. Kind of a toasty night here tonight on a mid-July evening as this Class 1A Region 6 semifinal matchup is underway. Here's the 1-0. It's low for a ball, and the count goes to 2-0 early for Zoe Reed. Zoe Reed, the senior, 33 hits on the year. 371 average, 414 on base percentage. She watches ball 3 go by, low and inside for a 3-0 count. 3 straight balls from Hendricks, the sophomore on the mound. Madison Hendricks this season, 5-2 record. She's pitched in 11 different games, She started in 7, 36 innings pitched. So she's kind of the second pitcher here in this lineup, right behind Presley Van Winkle, the senior. But Hendricks this season has been nothing short of excellent. 4.05 ERA, 43 strikeouts on the season for the sophomore. As she forces a strike in on Reed, moves the count 3-1. The 3-1 pitch is low for a ball, and Zoe Reed will start things off for the Tigers with a leadoff walk. Putting a runner on early, and designated player Izzy Curtis steps up to the plate. Curtis is hitting for first baseman Lainey Stokes here in today's matchup. As the first pitch into Curtis in there for a strike, the count goes to 0-1. Immediately, Izzy Curtis, the senior, on the year, 28 hits. She's got 5 doubles, 23 RBI, the team leading 23 RBI. Actually, team second, 23, As Hendricks misses the strike zone on the second pitch, the count goes to 1-1. Curtis on the year, 359 average, 427 on base percentage. She's got a runner over on first, and Zoe Reed. Curtis looks to lay down a bunt. She does so. Goes to Kirsten Klein over at third. Klein tries to make the play at second, isn't able to do so. And Zoe Reed rounds 2, heads for 3 on the throwing error there by third baseman Kirsten Klein. The Tigers are now able to put runners on the corners to start things off here in the top of the first. Sadie Cox, the shortstop, steps up to the plate. Sadie Cox, the senior, here for the Tigers as Izzy Curtis takes off. She'll take second without any contest, putting 2 runners in scoring position now for the Tigers. Sadie Cox has been a huge athlete for the Lenox Tigers over the last 4 years. Huge piece of everything that Lenox Athletics has been. This one goes to shortstop Malaya Berry, that is. Berry unable to field it cleanly. Cox will run out to the throw, and a score will come in. Zoe Reed gets in on the error, and Reese Reed, the pitcher, steps up to the plate for the first time tonight. Curtis did hold up at second there on the hit to Malaya Berry at shortstop. But Lenox already plating a run here with no outs and 2 runners still on. This one is hit on by Reese Reed. It'll get through the infield for a base hit, and Reese Reed, her single loads the bases for the Tigers here in the top of the first. They've got things rolling early as Piper Brokaw, the catcher, steps up to the plate. Brokaw, the junior, she's got 20 hits on the year, 13 of those being singles, 6 doubles. She's also got a home run on the season as well, 27 RBI. As the Murray infield is going to come in and have a quick conversation with Hendricks in the circle. And Tessa Otto, head coach, is going to be out there as well there for the Mustangs, as the Tigers loaded the bases early. Got a run across already through 4 batters. Zoe Reed got on with a walk, gets around, scores a run to start things off. Izzy Curtis then gets on as well. Sadie Cox got on with an error, and then Reese Reed single loads the bases for the Tigers here with a 1-0 lead and no outs. The huddle at the infield breaks up. And we are set to resume play here in the top of the first. Hendricks facing Brokaw for the first time tonight. Hendricks' first pitch misses outside for a ball. Madison Hendricks, like I said, 43 strikeouts on the season for the sophomore. Here's the 1-0 pitch. It's low and in the dirt for a ball, and the count goes to 2-0. The fence lengths here at Creston softball field, 210 dead center, 185 over in the left, and then 185 in right as well. Here's the 2-0 pitch. This one is hit on by Brokaw into left field. Gracie Matthews gets underneath of it for the out. Makes the throw all the way at home for the out. A big throw there from left fielder Mathis to get out number 2 in this inning. Izzy Curtis was heading home, unable to get there. Sadie Cox was able to move to third, and Reese Reed moves to second. But now the Tigers working with 2 outs. It's a big double play there from Gracie Mathis over and left. Jolene Christensen steps up to the plate. Christensen watches strike 1 go by. The count goes to 0-1. Lenox had the bases loaded with no outs, but they're able to make things a little bit easier on themselves. Still 2 runners in scoring position for the Tigers here on second and third, but a little bit easier to get out of with 2 outs now. Hendricks finds the strike zone on Christensen to move the count to 1-1. The 1-1 is swung on and missed by Jolene Christensen, and the count moves to 1-2 now. And Maddie Hendricks, 1 pitch away from getting out of this tight inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs for the Tigers here. As the 1-2 swung on a miss by Jolene Christensen. That's how the inning will come to a close. Maddie Hendricks gets her first strikeout of the evening there in the top of the first. We go to the bottom of the first. 1-0. Lenox leads it here on the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com. We'll be back right after this.
Your engine to power through the toughest conditions? Then you need John Deere Plus 52 engine oil. Built for extreme environments, Plus 52 gives your engine the protection it deserves and keeps it running at peak performance. Right now, you can save big at AgriVision Equipment. During the month of February, get 10% off select packaged oil and 15% off filters. It's the perfect time to stock up. Don't wait. This offer ends on 2/28/25. Stop by AgriVision Equipment or visit agrivisionequipment.com today.
You dream about living in the country? Make your dream a reality with specialized lending from Rural First. Whether you want an acreage to build your dream home or a wide open space for your kids to play, Rural First has the financing to get you closer to what matters. Visit ruralfirst.com. NMLS IDs 407249, 579135, and 628123. Equal housing lender. Loan subject to eligibility and approval.
Welcome back here into Creston as Murray will get set to bat for the first time tonight. Leah Frederick, Ayla Miller, and Kirsten Klein, the 1-2-3, all due up here in this inning, and then if anyone gets in, Malaya Berry will step up to the plate. The rest of the order for the Mustangs here: Karina Romero, Paisley Van Winkle, Gracie Mathis, Maddie Hendricks, and Presley Van Winkle round out that Murray Mustangs lineup as they'll be facing Reese Reed in the circle tonight for the Tigers. Frederick, the lefty, facing Reed for the first time tonight. Frederick hits one foul down the first base line, and the count goes to 0-2 early for Leah Frederick, the center fielder. Frederick, the sophomore, 26 hits on the year, a .338 average. She watches ball one go low, a little inside as well for a 1-2 count. Frederick also a .373 on base percentage this season, 11 RBI. Here's the 1-2 from Frederick. From Reed into Frederick. It misses for a ball, and the count evens out at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Two balls, 2 strikes is the count. Here's the 2-2 pitch. High for a ball, and the count goes full now, as Reese Reed finds herself in a payoff pitch situation here to start things off in the bottom of the first. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Here is the payoff pitch. In there for strike 3. Reese Reed gets up early in the count, 0-2, gives up 3 balls, but then ends up dragging her back as Frederick goes down on strikes for the first out here in the bottom of the first. Ayla Miller now steps up to the plate. Miller, the right fielder, takes a chop at one. Cam made contact. The count goes to 0-1 early. Ayla Miller, a freshman, 19 hits on the year, .292 average, .324 on base percentage. Here's Reese Reed's 0-1 pitch. It's in the dirt for a ball, and the count goes to 1-1. Reese Reed, 93 innings pitched this season, 14 games started, 22 games pitched, .422 ERA, 87 strikeouts for the freshman. As the 1-1 in there for strike 2, the count goes to 1-2. The 1-2 misses for a ball, and the count will even up at 2 balls, 2 strikes, with 1 out here for the Mustangs in the bottom of the first. To get to this point, Lenox had to get through East Mills there in round 1 of the Region 6 as Reed gets Miller swinging and missing for a second strikeout here of the evening. Kirsten Klein, the third baseman, will step up to the plate. Like I was saying, Lenox had to get through East Mills, which they were able to do so semi-easily there in the first round. 13-3 a Lenox win over East Mills. That was back on Monday, I believe. And then as for Murray, they haven't played a game in quite some time. Their last game was a 3-2 loss over Seymour. As this one's hit on hard by Klein into center field, but a nice grab. Zoe Reed gets the jump on it and immediately gets underneath of it and makes the snag for the line out on Klein for out number 3. That's how the inning will come to a close. 1-2-3 for Murray as we go to the top of the second. 1-0. Lenox leads it here on the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com. We'll be back right after this.
Is believing. That's what you'll hear from customers that choose Barrett Auto Center of Glenwood time and time again. Barrett customers come in for vehicles and service work, but they come back for conversation and honest advice. They want one of the largest pre-owned and fully serviced inventories in KMA land, and they return when they've gone elsewhere and it just isn't the same. See and believe for yourself how little differences add up to a better car buying experience. Come back to Barrett's and Barrett'sAutoCenter.com.
sure what you want to do with your life? Feel like your job is at a standstill? Get your foot in the door with area manufacturing companies at Iowa Western Community College's SEAM program. Sign up now in the Center of Excellence for Advanced Manufacturing through IWCC. Classes are just 2 early evenings a week with holidays and summers off. Improve your current skills and learn new ones that will give you a new career or even enhance your current one. For more information on SEAM, contact IWCC's Clarinda Center at 712-542-5117.
After one, Lenox holds a 1-0 lead, here in the top of the second over Murray as we get ready to set to bat. The 7, 8, 9 hitters of Lenox, Hadley Christensen, Ashlyn Ali, and Kinsey Menifee will all step up to the plate as Hadley Christensen goes down in the count. 0-1 early to Maddie Hendricks. Hendricks and the Murray Mustang defense got themselves in a tight situation there in the top of the first. Lenox loaded the bases with no outs, but a huge grab from Gracie Mathis over in the left, and then a throwdown from left field all the way home, catching Izzy Curtis on the way home for an out. Changed that situation completely. Murray was able to get out of there with just giving up 1 run, getting us to the 1-0 Lenox lead that we have right now. Hadley Christensen watches the ball go in the dirt. The count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. Sorry about that. We were having some quick difficulties there with the stream. Got it all figured out. It's a full count now, by the way, for Hadley Christensen, the second baseman, who on the full count pitch watches ball 4 go by. A full count walk for a leadoff walk to start things off here in the top of the second, for the Tigers. Ashlyn Ali, the third baseman, steps up to the plate for the first time tonight. Ali, the sophomore, 17 hits on the year. She looks to lay down a bunt, pops one right back into foul territory, and the count goes to 0-1 early for Ali. By the way, Christensen, like I just said, able to get on first with a leadoff walk, so the Tigers working with a base runner and no outs here early in the top of the second. This one is hit on by Ali into the outfield. Ayla Miller in right field tracks it down, jumps up, makes the grab for out number 1. That's how the first one goes down here in the top of the second.
Right fielder, number 7, Kinsey Menifee.
Kinsey Menifee, the right fielder, steps up to the plate. Menifee, a freshman, she's got just 7 hits on the year and just 20 at-bats, so not too bad. A .350 average there for Menifee on the season, a .381 on-base percentage. So for a player here in this lineup who doesn't get a lot of at-bats, hasn't had a lot this season, that is, stepping up here in a big time at the postseason. Menifee watches strike 2 go by, finds herself down 0-2 in the count early. Again, Hadley Christensen's over on first after the leadoff walk, but she's remained there. Here's the 0-2 pitch from Hendricks into Menifee. It is low for a ball. The count goes to 1-2. Menifee, a slap hitter for the Tigers. So here is the 1-2 pitch. Gets hit on, goes foul down the third baseline, and the count will stay at 1-2 for Kinsey Menifee. The 1-2 again to Menifee is high for a ball. The count evens out at 2-2, which, by the way, The winner of this one will move on to a regional semifinal. This is a regional quarterfinal, excuse me, a regional semifinal where they will take on either Fremont Mills or Stanton, depending on who can get the win in that one, as this one's popped up by Menifee and won't leave the outfield. Kirsten Klein jumps up, makes the grab for out number 2. Klein also trying to throw it down to first, seeing if she can get Christensen. Christensen was able to get back in time, however. So that's just the second out of the inning for the Tigers as they turn it to the top of their order. Zoe Reed, the center fielder who got on with a walk, got around and scored a run for the Tigers there in her first at-bat. Hendricks' pitch gets away from Romero behind the plate, and that'll move Christensen from first over to second. So a runner in scoring position now for the Tigers. If Zoe Reed's able to put this one into the outfield, could potentially see a run come across. The 1-0 is popped up. It won't leave the outfield. Presley Van Winkle, the first baseman, gets underneath of it, makes the grab for out number 3. So that's how the top of the second comes to a close. Lenox still leads it 1-0. We'll be back on the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com right after this.
Salvage in Bartlett is no stranger to the ups and downs of owning and operating a small business. But no matter how much changes on their end, there's one thing that will always stay the same for their customers. It's cash. Call for the best scrap metal prices in the area and go ahead and test their unloading times. Then, when all is said and done, that's right, leave with cash. J-Dog Salvage, Bartlett, Iowa, 402-290-3124. That's 402-290-3124.
Since 1892, Malvern Bank has been building community from 404 Main Street in Malvern, Iowa. For generations, Malvern Bank has been serving local businesses, families, and farms to help them achieve their goals in every step of their lives. From saving for college to planning for retirement and everything in between, Malvern Bank is your full-service community bank. Call, click, or stop in today to apply for an account, loan, or credit card. Malvern Bank, we build community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back here into Creston. Lenox leads at 1-0 over Murray as we get set to enter the bottom of the second. Murray getting set to bat their 4, 5, 6 hitter. Malia Berry, Karina Romero, Paisley Van Winkle. All will see the plate here, and then if anyone gets on, Gracie Matthews will come up as well. Berry watches a strike go by. The count goes to 0-1 early. Reese Reed, here is her 0-1 pitch. Gets Berry reaching on a high pitch, and the count goes to 0-2 early. Malia Berry, the freshman on the year, 27 hits, 403 average, 452 on base percentage. She's found herself 0-2 down in the count early. The 0-2 pitch, an off-speed pitch in there for strike 3, a big one for Reese Reed as she gets strikeout number 3 on the day. That's Reese Reed's 90th strikeout on the season for the Tigers this year. Karina Romero, this catcher, steps up to the plate for the first time tonight as Reed gets a strike in on Romero immediately. The count goes to 0-1. Karina Romero, the junior, 18 hits, a 462 average, 632 on base percentage. Here's the 0-1. This one hit on by Romero into left field, deep into left field, and it will be over the fence, gone. Murray, just like that, knots it up at 1 run apiece. A 1-run shot from Karina Romero ties us up at 1. Just like that, just with 1 hit, the Mustangs able to get some momentum going here maybe a little bit, as they still technically haven't had a base runner yet. That was the first hit of the game. With no outs here in the bottom of the second. By the way, KMA has somebody over at Tri-Center for that Fremont Mills Stanton matchup happening on the other side of this bracket. The winner of that will move on to play the winner of this one. And Stanton, heading into the bottom of the first, reached out and got a 4-0 lead early over Fremont Mills. Reese Reed misses the strike zone for the first pitch on Van Winkle. Paisley Van Winkle, that is, the second baseman. The count's at 2-0 right now. The 2-0 pitch is hit on to shortstop Sadie Cox. Cox fields it cleanly, makes the throw over there, but it goes through the glove of first baseman Lainey Stokes for an error. And that'll also move Paisley Van Winkle over to second on the error. So the Mustangs now with a runner in scoring position in the bottom of the second after tying things up with the Karina Romero home run. Gracie Mathis, the left fielder, steps up to the plate. Mathis, the freshman on the year, 19 hits, 292 average, a 333 on base percentage. Reed's first pitch is inside. Mathis swings anyway and can't make contact. The count goes to 0-1. Actually, I think Mathis might have foul-ticked that one, but the count goes 0-1 regardless. So now Reese Reed gets set for the 0-1 pitch against Gracie Mathis. Mathis takes a swing, can't make contact. The count goes to 0-2 early. Van Winkle, by the way, over on second, getting a comfortable jump on the pitch. Piper Brokaw behind the plate acknowledged that, walked her back, and the count goes to 0-2 at the plate for Mathis. The 0-2 pitch is in the dirt for a ball. The count goes to 1-2. Brokaw scoops it up and jogs it out to Reed, the pitcher. This one is hit on by Mathis. It'll drop in left field for a base hit. And Van Winkle was kind of jogging over to third. Almost got tagged out, thrown out there, but able to get there in time on the single from Gracie Mathis. Murray kind of getting the offense going a little bit here in the bottom of the second. They've already tied things up at 1 run apiece. They're looking to do some more damage and grab a lead here with no outs. As Maddie Hendricks, the pitcher, steps up to the plate for the first time tonight. Hendricks, the sophomore. A 271 on base percentage. This one she hits on foul out of play. Hendricks has drove in 8 runs for the Mustangs this season. She's got an opportunity to add to that total a little bit here. She's got 2 runners in scoring position with 1 out. Reese Reed misses the strike zone on the 1-1 pitch. The count goes to 2 balls, 1 strike. Again, runners on second and third for the Mustangs. Here is the 2-1. It is low and in the dirt for ball 3, and now a hitter's count due up for Maddie Hendricks, the pitcher. Three balls, 1 strike is the count. Here's the pitch. It's in there for strike 2 as Hendricks watches it go by. The count goes full now at the plate. This is going to be a big pitch for both these squads, as if Reese Reed's able to get a strikeout with runners in scoring position, it would be huge, and she's able to do so. Forces the strike in on Maddie Hendricks for strike number 3. That's strikeout number 4 on the night for Reed in the circle. And now the 9-hitter, Presley Van Winkle, the first baseman, steps up to the plate. Presley Van Winkle, a senior on this Murray Mustangs lineup. She's got 14 hits, a 292 average, 358 on base percentage. It actually, I think that either I mixed some things up. Oh no, we're all good. Presley Van Winkle is the one at the plate here at the 9-hole spot. (2-0) is the count to Van Winkle from Reese Reed. This one's hit on by Van Winkle. It will barely leave the outfield, but shortstop Sadie Cox is able to track it down and make the grab for out number 3. So that's how the inning comes to a close, but not before Murray was able to tie it up. Lenox was able to get out of that situation without giving up any more than they had to, as Murray left 2 runners stranded on second and third. We go to the top of the third, tied up at 1 apiece. We'll be back right after this.
Nutrient Ag Solutions takes the responsibility of growing seriously. As a leader in the ag sector, they provide their customers with complete agriculture solutions, including nutrients, crop protection products, seed, service, and digital tools for optimum customer success. Talk with Nutrient Ag Solutions in Westboro, Coyne, Percival, and Essex. Nutrient Ag Solutions, transforming agriculture and feeding the future.
Agricultural business majors at Northwest Missouri State University gain the knowledge and the experiences of agriculture as well as business foundations. Northwest's faculty focuses on 4 core areas: agricultural finance, agricultural marketing, agricultural policy, and economics of agricultural production. Career opportunities in this field at Northwest include agricultural sales representative, grain merchandising, agricultural lender, operations manager, and claims adjuster. Find out more about an agricultural business major at Northwest Missouri State University.
Welcome back here into Crescent. We're all knotted up at 1 apiece between Lenox and Murray here in this Class 1A Region 6 quarterfinal matchup. The winner heads on to a regional semifinal against the winner of either Stanton and Fremont Mills, that is, excuse me. And like I said earlier, Stanton currently leads that one 4-0 over in Tri-Center. As this one keeps on moving along, Lenox is set to bat their 2-3-4 in this inning. Izzy Curtis, Sadie Cox, and Reese Reed. Izzy Curtis at the plate right now, the designated player. Got on with a fielder's choice there in her last at bat. She's up in the count, 2 balls to no strikes early on Maddie Henricks. The Tigers have left 3 base runners stranded so far tonight, 2 in the first, 1 in the second. The 2-0 misses for ball 3, and now 3 straight balls from Henricks to start off the top of the third, as Izzy Curtis finds herself up 3-0 in the count. Sadie Cox, the shortstop, due up next for Lenox. Here's the 3-0. It is in there for strike 1. Izzy Curtis with the 3-0, I'm going to assume was given the red light, don't swing at this pitch. Does just that, and it's in there for strike number 1. The count goes 3-1, a hitter's count for Izzy Curtis. Here's the 3-1 pitch. It is outside for a ball, and Izzy Curtis will take first on a leadoff walk. The 3rd straight inning for the Tigers where they've had a leadoff walk. Hadley Christensen did it to start things back in the top of the 2nd, and then Zoe Reed led things off with a walk there in the top of the 1st. So again, they're in the top of the 3rd, continuing that trend of things as Izzy Curtis leads things off with a walk. Sadie Cox, the shortstop, steps up to the plate. She watches ball 1 go by. The count goes 1-0 early. As Henricks right now kind of struggling to find the strike zone a little bit. In her last 6 pitches, 5 of them have been balls. Here's the 1-0. It is also it misses for ball 2. I thought that one might have found the strike zone, but home plate umpire says no, and the count goes to 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes, no outs for the Tigers here in the top of the 3rd. The 2-0 pitch finds its way in there for a strike on Cox. The count goes to 2-1. Here's the 2-1. Cox looks to lay down a bunt. Can't make contact. The count goes to 2-2 early. Or not early, I guess. 2-2 in the count now. Two balls, 2 strikes, no outs for the Tigers here. Here's the 2-2 pitch. This one's hit on by Cox. It'll go foul out the 3rd baseline. And the count will stay at 2-2. There's a couple other places that KMA's got got coverage at here tonight, as Trevor Mader is over in Bedford for a region quarterfinal between Bedford and Mount Ayr. That's on the top half here of this region, so One of these teams could realistically, if they make it all the way to a regional final, realistically they could face either Mount Airy or Bedford there in a regional final as well. Mount Airy has a 6-0 lead over Bedford there in the first inning. Izzy Curtis takes second on a stolen base, and Sadie Cox at the plate is with a full count. Here's Henrik's full count pitch into Cox. It's in the dirt for a ball. Sadie Cox will get on with a walk. Putting runners on first and second now for the Tigers here in the top of the third. Reese Reed, the pitcher, steps up to the plate. Reed had a single back in the first inning. She loaded the bases with that single, but then the Tigers weren't able to get anything out of that after loading those bases. Here's the first pitch to Reed here in this inning. It is outside for a ball. The count goes to 1-0, and Hendricks, after walking the last two batters, throws another first pitch ball to another batter. The pitch is in there for a strike, and it'll even things out at 1-1. One ball, one strike, no balls, no outs, for the Tigers here in this inning. This one's hit on. It'll get through for a base hit as it finds the gap in between left and right. One run will come across as Izzy Curtis scores. Sadie Cox will hold up at third, and Lenox retakes the lead here 2-1 on an RBI single from Reese Reed there at the 4-hole.
Now batting for the Tigers, the catcher, number 18, Piper Brokaw.
Izzy Curtis was able to get in. Cox moves over to third. That puts runners on the corners now as Reese Reed is over at first. Piper Brokaw, the catcher, at the plate now. Brokaw popped out to left there in her last at-bat. Brokaw showing bunt early. She pulls back. The pitch is a called ball. So the count goes to 1-0. And Reese Reed wastes no time, taking second immediately, putting two runners in scoring position now for the Tigers on second and third with no outs. Here's Henrik's 1-0 pitch into Brokaw. It's way high for a ball. Almost got away there from catcher Karina Romero. Romero had to stretch out and grab it, not allowing it to get to the backstop because it could possibly score in another run with Sadie Cox over at third. 2 balls, no strikes, no outs for the Tigers. Here is the 2-0 pitch. It is low for a ball, and 3 straight balls for Piper Brokaw in the 5 spot. Gets her up in the count, 3-0. Curious to see if she'll be given the red light here with 2 runners in scoring position. Here's the 3-0. Brokaw doesn't swing. It's outside for ball 4. Piper Brokaw ends up on first with a walk. That's the 3rd walk for Murray here in the top of the 3rd. And now Murray head coach Tessa Otto going to have a quick conversation with the infield and Hendricks in the circle. We'll see if they decide to change things up there at the pitching position. Wouldn't think so, not this early. Gracie Brokaw, the courtesy runner in for Piper Brokaw over on first, who got on with the walk. By the way, taking a look at Murray's pitchers that they've thrown this season, Presley Van Winkle, the senior, has also thrown a good amount in the circle this year. 13 different games played for her. 7-4 record, 3.89 ERA, 79 strikeouts on the year. So they have other options to go to, and that's what it looks like they're going to do. And it will be Malaya Berry, the freshman, coming into the circle now for Murray. Berry has thrown in just 4 different games this season for the Mustangs, 18 innings, a 3.44 ERA, and 13 strikeouts on the season. We'll let her get warmed up. We'll go ahead and set the field and everything when we get back. We'll be back right after this.
OSI is considered a premier global food provider by many of the world's leading brands. OSI delivers leading-edge food solutions for product development as well as processing. Much of it is done from their Oakland, Iowa plant. Being a leader in the industry allows OSI Oakland to give back to their communities by sponsoring area high school events, offering special programs for veterans, and other community outreach programs. Well, to learn more, visit osigroup.com and search for the Oakland, Iowa location.
No one succeeds alone. It takes support to get there, sacrifices made by others, wisdom learned and passed on. When your business is agriculture, you dedicate your life to supporting community, doing the hard work that helps all of us thrive. It's why at PCSB, we believe in supporting you. Your success makes our community succeed. PCSB, we believe in you. Visit us online at wearepcsb.com. Member FDIC.
Welcome back here into the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com here in Creston for a Class 1A Region 6 quarterfinal matchup between Lenox and Murray. Malaya Berry, the freshman, getting set to get things rolling here in the circle for the first time tonight. She'll start things off with a matchup against left fielder Jolyn Christensen at the plate. Christensen struck out there in her first at-bat to Henricks. So let's see. Barry was at short. Looks like they will just move. Can't read numbers from here very well, so just give me a quick couple minutes to get things sorted out as Barry misses the strike zone for the first pitch on Christensen. Maddie Henricks is now over at second as this one gets away. And Sadie Cox will come in on the pass ball, scoring a run for the Tigers, their third run here in the game as they take a 3-1 lead now over Murray. As, like I said, Cox gets in on the pass ball. Reese Reed moves over to third. And Gracie Brokaw, the courtesy runner in for Piper Brokaw, takes second. So two runners will stay in scoring position for the Tigers as Jolyn Christensen watches a strike go by. The count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. Here's the 2-1. It is low and outside for a ball, and the count goes to 3-1. As Lenox will load the bases again with another walk. Jolyn Christensen ends up on first here for the first batter of Barry's 10-year on the circle, and now she'll be facing Hadley Christensen, the second baseman. Hadley Christensen, that is, got on with a walk there in the second inning. This one is hit on. It'll go foul down the third baseline, and the count will go to 1-1. As Malaya Berry, like I said, in the circle now. Paisley Van Winkle. Is she the one who moved over to short? Somebody moved over to short, and I'm not exactly sure who it was yet. Now former pitcher Maddie Henricks is now on second. Another pass ball for Lenox. They score another run as Reese Reed gets in, extending the lead 4-1. And the Tigers have found 3 different runs here in the top of the third. They're looking to extend that lead as much as they possibly can. Hadley Christensen, the count on her is 2-1. Still no outs for the Tigers here in this inning. Gracie Brokaw moves over to third. Jolyn Christensen at second now. Here's the 2-1. It is low and outside for a ball. And the count goes to 3-1 now for Hadley Christensen, the second base. Hadley Christensen, the second baseman. 3 balls, 1 strike. Here's the pitch. It is in there for strike 2, and now a full count. The full count pitch is hit on. It goes to shortstop, who can't make the play over at first. That now is shortstop, by the way. I did finally catch the number. It's Leah Frederick from center field. So Frederick moved in from center field to short. And now things have also really fallen apart for Murray, as they just gave up 2 more runs on that error. Both Gracie Brokaw and Jolene Christensen get in for a score. Hadley Christensen's the only one on base after the error. Ashlyn Ali, the third baseman, steps up to the plate. Fouls one out of play, and the count goes to 0-1. As this one's hit on foul again by Ali, and the count will stay at 0-2. I'm still trying to figure out where all the rotations moved to. Klein is still in third. Frederick is now over at short. So I've just got to figure out who moved out to center field, and I've got my guess that this one's hit on back to the pitcher, Barry. Barry makes the play at first for out number 1. That's how the first one goes down here in the top of the third, but Lenox did move a runner as Christensen moves from first to second. So that initially just kind of works as a sacrifice bunt there for Ali, I guess, as she did move the runner. And Kinsey Menifee, the right fielder, steps up to the plate for the second time tonight. Menifee flew out to third there in her last at-bat. Another pass ball that'll move Hadley Christensen from second to third, moving her just another base closer to plating another run here in the top of the third. 5 runs have already came across for Lenox here in the top of the third. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out here for the Tigers as the 1-0 pitch is outside and low for a ball. The count goes to 2-0. I think I finally figured out. I'm going to assume that Paisley Van Wickle moved from second out to center. I don't know that for a fact, but that's just my guess. Here's the 3-0 pitch into Menifee. It misses in there for a strike, and the count goes to 3-1. Malaya Berry just trying to get out of this inning here for Murray that Lenox has already played at 5 runs in. The 3-1 in there for strike 2, and the count goes full for Malaya Berry. Here is the payoff pitch from Berry into Menifee. Misses for a ball, and the Tigers will put another base runner on with a walk.
Now batting for the Tigers, center fielder, number 4, Zoe Reed.
Lenox will turn it to the top of their order now. Zoe Reed, the center fielder, steps up to the plate. The lefty in this one has walked and popped out. She looks to lay down a bunt early, pulls back. Menifee will take off for second, get there without any contest, putting 2 runners in scoring position on second and third now for the Tigers and Zoe Reed. Reed, an opportunity to really put the pedal down and maybe put this game away early if she's able to drive in a couple more runs. Barry forces a strike in on Reed. The count goes to 1-1 now, here with 1 out in the top of the third. Menifee again over on second, Christensen on third. The 1-1 pitch is high and away for ball 2, and the count goes to 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. It is in there for a strike. The count will even up at 2-2. The 2-2 is hit on by Reed. It'll get through for a base hit and score 2 runs. A 2 RBI single there for Zoe Reed. Keeps the inning alive for the Tigers here as they keep rallying, putting up 2 more runs. And Izzy Curtis, the designated player, steps up to the plate. Izzy Curtis started this inning for the Tigers. She's now set to bat for the second time in this inning. She walked earlier in this inning, and she pulls back her bunt for a ball. Zoe Reed will take off, steal second pretty easily, putting a runner in scoring position for the Tigers early. A 7-run top of the third for the Tigers here has given them an 8-1 lead over the Mustangs. Here's the 0-1 into Curtis. It's high for a ball. The count will even up at 1-1. This one is hit on by Curtis. It will be grabbed in right field as Ayla Miller, the right fielder, has to lay out for it. Does make the catch for out number 2. A nice grab there by Miller out and right. As Sadie Cox, the shortstop, steps up to the plate. Cox walked back in this inning earlier. She was the second at bat here in this inning as the Tigers now working with 1 out. Menifee did move, or excuse me, Reed did move from second to third there. She tagged up on the grab by Miller in the right. This has been a long inning for the Murray defense, one I'm sure they would love to get out of as quickly as they possibly can. They do have 2 outs now, so an opportunity to do so, but facing probably one of the best batters on this Lenox lineup in Sadie Cox, who's gotten on with an error and a walk so far in this one. The 2-0 to Cox is outside for a ball. The count goes to 3-0. The 3-0 is in there for a strike. The count goes to 3-1. 3 balls, 1 strike, 2 outs. Here is the pitch, and it is in there for strike 2. Malaya Berry trying to get out of this inning as quickly as she can without allowing any more damage from the Tiger bats. Here's the full count pitch into Cox. It's hit on foul. So Sadie Cox will keep herself alive at the plate with a foul ball on the full count. The full count pitch is taken for a ball, and that's how Sadie Cox will end up on the base paths for the 3rd time tonight. Reese Reed, the pitcher, steps up to the plate. Reed has an opportunity to make her night a lot easier in the circle. I mean, it's already a 7-run lead for her, but an opportunity to drive in a couple more. She's got 2 singles on the day already. An RBI and a run scored as Sadie Cox takes off, heads for 2, takes it uncontested. Here's the 1-0 from Reed, or to Reed, excuse me, as it misses inside at the feet of Reed for a ball. The 2-0 is hit on by Reed. It'll go foul down the 3rd baseline. Hard hit ball there by Reese Reed. Kind of got everybody jumping a little bit there on that hard hit by Reese Reed. Full count at the plate now for Reese Reed and Malaya Berry. 2 outs for the Tigers with runners on second and third. Here is the full count pitch. It is outside and away for a ball. And another walk for the Tigers. Loads the bases again. Piper Brokaw, the catcher, steps up to the plate. Brokaw walked there in her last at-bat, which also happened in the third. As Lenox head coach Mandy Stokes going to have a quick conversation with Brokaw. And also looks like we're just going to get a courtesy runner in for the pitcher, Reese Reed. Number 21. Colby Carson. The courtesy runner in for Lenox, the sophomore, now at first with the bases loaded and 2 outs with an 8-1 lead over Murray here in the top of the third. Barry's first pitch to Brokaw misses out, or is in there for a strike, excuse me. Bates the outside part of the zone. Home plate umpire called that one a little late. Here is the 0-1 pitch to Brokaw. That one misses for a ball. Maybe I can't see as well as I thought I could up here. 1-1 is the count now. The pitch to Brokaw in there for strike 2. And Barry an opportunity to get out of this inning now if she could just find the strike zone one more time. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. It is a floater from Barry that misses high, and the count will even up at 2-2. Here is the even 2-2 pitch from Barry into Brokaw. It's hit on by Brokaw, foul out of play. And the count will stay at 2-2. This has been, I didn't keep track of when this inning started, but we've been going at it here in the top of the third for quite some time. Both these squads, especially the Murray defense, is really looking to get out of this situation. This one's hit on by Brokaw to go right back to Barry at first base, or excuse me, at the pitcher position, who knocks it down. Almost made the grab with her glove, but instead knocks it down and makes the play at first towards Van Winkle, and that's how the inning comes to a close, but not before Lenox is able to reach out and grab a massive lead over Murray, 8-1 heading to the bottom of the third. We'll see if Murray's able to answer with anything big back. We'll be back on the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com right after this.
With a chronic respiratory condition, Rogers Pharmacy can provide what you need. Rogers Pharmacy offers a full line of respiratory equipment like oxygen, BiPAP, CPAP, and nebulizers. Rogers Pharmacy isn't a big box pharmacy where you may have to wait for days and weeks to get what you need. They're a full-service, independent, family-owned pharmacy, and they go above and beyond to offer you the quality service and products you deserve. See Rogers Pharmacy in Tarkio, Maryville, Mound City, St. Joseph, and Stanberry, Missouri. Visit Rogers Pharmacy online at rogersrx.com.
This is Sid with Shaw Ag near Trainer. I'm learning all of the ins and outs of agronomy with my dad, Shane. I've learned that Pioneer seed is second to none and that they back that up with proven products and yields. I've also learned that if our customers have a question or a concern, we'll work until we figure out the answer or solution. I'm learning all of this because at Shaw Ag, we've made a commitment, and that commitment is our family helping yours. Call Shane at 712-520-1333.
Welcome back here into Creston. Murray's going to have some sort of answer after a 7-run top of the third by Lenox. The Mustangs have got to get something going early on here in the bottom of the third as they find themselves down 8-1. They will start things off with their shortstop and top of the order, Leah Frederick. Frederick started the game in center field, now moved over to the shortstop position after some big movements from the infield and the pitcher position of Murray there in that long top of the third. Frederick struck out there in her first at-bat. She watches strike 1 go by as the count goes to 0-1. Reed misses the strike zone. And the count evens out at 1-1 here for Leah Frederick. One time through the lineup, Reese Reed struck out 4 different batters, gave up just 1 hit, 1 walk. Gave up 2 hits, excuse me. No walks, and she did give up that home run there to Karina Romero, the catcher, at the 5 spot. That, by the way, being Romero's 4th home run on the season for the Mustangs this year. The count at the plate for Frederick is 1-2. The 1-2 pitch by Reed in there for strike 3. Gets Frederick swinging on and missing. And the count and that's how the first one goes down here in the bottom of the 3rd. Ayla Miller, the right fielder, steps up to the plate. Miller was also one of Reed's early strikeout victims as Reed struck out the first 2 batters of the game in Leah Frederick and Ayla Miller. Ayla Miller's first pitch from Reed is inside for a ball. The count goes to 1-0. Here is the pitch. Reed takes a big swing at one, kind of reaches at one outside by Reed, and it even sings out at 1-1. The sun's starting to go down here in Creston. May cause some issues for right field. Any balls hit out in right could potentially be lost pretty easily here because of that sun. This one's hit on right back by Miller. It'll go out of the glove there of Reese Reed at the pitcher position, but it was a hard hit ball, so a single there from Ayla Miller that gets by for a base hit. The 3rd base hit of the game for the Mustangs, and Kirsten Klein, the 3rd baseman, steps up to the plate. Klein lined out to center there in her first at-bat. That was the really nice hit there in the first inning that Zoe Reed was just able to get a jump on and track it down, get underneath of it for the grab, and ended that inning. Well, now Kirsten Klein steps up with a runner on first and 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd. Klein swung on and missed at the first pitch, takes a big chop at the second one, and can't make contact again as the count goes to 0-2. Kirsten Klein on those first 2 swings looked like she was swinging for some of the trees way out in left field here in Creston's softball facility. As this one's in the dirt by Reed. The count goes to 1-2. The 1-2 misses for a ball. The count evens up at 2-2 for Kirsten Klein and Reese Reed. Here is the even count, 2-2. This one popped up by Klein. It will stay in play. Actually, no, it'll hit the top of the fence, bounce off the top of the fence. Piper Brokaw was there in position, ready to make a play, but like I said, just bounces off the top bar here of the fence behind home plate. So another 2-2 pitch from Reese Reed in to Klein. This one misses for a ball, and the count goes full at 3-2 for 3rd baseman Kirsten Klein. Here is that full count pitch. It's high for a ball, and Klein will take first on a walk. Putting 2 runners on now for the Mustangs. Ayla Miller over on second after her single here in this inning, and Kirsten Klein takes first after her walk. Malaya Berry stepping up to the plate. Berry, the now pitcher, struck out there in her first at-bat. She takes a big swing at one. Goes down in the count, 0-1 early with 1 out. Still a hot one here in Creston tonight. A hot one all across KMA land, but this one is hit on by Berry. Goes foul out of play, and the count goes to 0-2. But something that is much better than what's supposed to happen tomorrow. It's a possible chance of some storms across KMA land tomorrow. Could cause some issues for the postseason baseball games going on. And as Reese Reed's 0-2 pitch is in the dirt for a ball, the count goes to 1-2. 1-2 by Reed. Misses for ball 2. Evens things out at 2-2 now. By the way, there is a couple games on the KMA airwaves tomorrow as Denison Schleswig is at Glenwood. Ryan Matheny will be on the call of that one. And then Centerville is at Clarinda. Trevor Mater will have that one as well. Those are the 2 games across the KMA airwaves. Again, tonight there's a couple different games around the KMA area that KMA has on stream for you. Mount Air at Bedford. Again, Trevor Mater's on the call of that one. I'm here for Lenox and Murray. And then at Tri-Center, Dusty Scahill is watching that Stanton-Fremont Mills matchup, which the winner of this one will move on and take on the winner of that one. I'll get an update for you here in just a second as Barry hits another one foul out of play. A long battle going on here between Reese Reed and Malaya Barry. The count stays at 2-2. Here's another 2-2 pitch as Reese Reed gets the pitch. Now the 2-2. This one's hit on. It'll be grabbed at second there by Hadley Christensen. Christensen will step on second after Miller took off without tagging. That's how the inning comes to an end. A double play by Hadley Christensen ends the inning for the Lenox Tigers. We go to the top of the 4th where Lenox leads at 8-1 here in Creston. We'll be back on the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com right after this.
Shenandoah Medical Center, in collaboration with MD West 1, provides the most comprehensive orthopedic care in our region. Whether you have pain stemming from an athletic injury or overuse, you will have immediate access to high-quality orthopedic care. My name is Michael Delcor, and I am an orthopedic surgeon specializing in the upper extremity. Whatever the case, I will work with you to determine the best treatment plan. For more information about our extensive orthopedic coverage, simply call 712-246-7400.
TNT Ford outside Red Oak will have you taking notice. Sure, the name and logo are nice, but those trucks, and more trucks are guaranteed to catch your eye. And Ag Country trucks aren't just about convenience, they're part of the operation. And the sales team at TNT Ford can help you find and finance the right Ford truck to take you from to-do to done with efficiency. Plus, their service team has the know-how to keep your truck at its best. New name, new experience. TNT Ford just east of Red Oak and anytime at TNTFord.com.
Welcome back here into Creston as Lenox has an 8-1 lead over Murray entering the top of the 4th. The Tigers are getting set to bat again. They're getting set to bat their 6, 7, 8 hitters. Jolene Christensen, Hadley Christensen, and then Ashley Ali will all be up. And then if anybody gets on, the 9-hitter Kenzie Menifee will be patiently awaiting. The Tigers got this lead after a 7-run top of the 3rd. They really took control of things there, and then looked like Murray was getting ready to maybe put some pressure on there in the bottom of the 3rd, but a big play by Hadley Christensen at second as she made the grab and stepped on second for a double play to end that inning. And now we are where we are here in the top of the 4th. Murray is going to change some pitchers around, it looks like, again, as now Presley Van Winkle will move from first into the circle. That means movements probably across the rest of the lineup as well. We'll see is actually, I believe Barry just moved from the circle to first, maybe. Could be wrong as well. I'll get that checked in later as this game kind of goes along and I can read her number a little bit better. But again, we'll get some stats for you on Presley Van Winkle as this game gets ready to keep going. Another important game to note. Like I said, the winner of Stanton Fremont Mills will move on and play the winner of this one. Well, right now Stanton has a 9-5 lead over Fremont Mills, and that is kind of a shocker because this year those two teams have played twice. And I believe that, Fremont Mills was able to win it over Stanton twice this year. An 11-2 game back on June 13th and in a 5-4 win back on May 29th. Well, right now, Stanton with the upper hand over Fremont Mills 9-5 there in the bottom of the, looks like they're in the top of the 4th. Presley Van Winkle getting set for her first inning in the circle. She'll be facing Jolyn Christensen to start things off. Christensen also happened to be the first batter that Barry had to face, so kind of ironic how that one ended up. But Christensen takes a swing on it, one fouls it off. The count goes to 0-2. Taking a look really quickly at the pitching for Presley Van Winkle this year. The senior has pitched in 14 different games, started 13 different, and she gets the first strikeout on Jolynn Christensen immediately. Christensen goes down swinging, and Ashlyn Ali, the third baseman, or excuse me, Hadley Christensen, steps up to the plate. Hadley Christensen has gotten on twice, once with an error and once with a walk, so technically 0 for 0 on the night, but still gotten on twice and scored a run. Like I was saying, Van Winkle pitched in 13 different games for the Mustangs this year. 7-4 record, 68 different innings. She's been the ace this year for the Mustangs. 79 strikeouts, a 3.89 ERA. As she comes in with a situation where Lenox is looking to put this one away as quickly as they possibly can. The count is now 0-2, by the way, for Hadley Christensen, the second baseman, as Christensen goes down on strikes as well. 2 straight strikeouts, 6 straight strikes there for the new pitcher, Van Winkle. The third different pitcher we've seen in the game for the Mustangs, and Presley Van Winkle moving efficiently here in the top of the fourth as Kinsey Menifee, the right fielder, steps up to the plate. Menifee walked there in her last at-bat. Menifee takes a big swing at one and goes down in the count 0-2 early. It looks like Murray may have got things figured out on the mound or in the circle and defensively, but they still have to figure out a way to play 7 runs in the rest of this matchup as Menifee takes another chop at one. 9 straight strikes that was for Van Winkle to end that inning as we go to the bottom of 4. Super clean inning there for the Mustangs. We go to the bottom of 4, 8-1. Lenox leads it here on the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com. We'll be back right after this.
Our name says it all. We're Total Farm Solutions. This is Eric with TFS, and when it comes to your operation, we want to be your total partner in and out of the field. We're your Pioneer seed dealer, along with bulk options and seed treatments. And we study genetics, offering scouting and agronomic solutions. Taking care of our customer is part of our total service. We're Total Farm Solutions. Give us a call or find our office just outside of Carson.
Another game going on in the KMA airwaves here tonight that I kind of forgot to mention. Shenandoah and West Monona going at it there in a playoff matchup there. Shenandoah up 4-3, or excuse me, down trailing right now. West Monona 4-3 in that matchup. As we get set to begin the bottom of the 4th, Murray will bat their 5, 6, 7 hitters. Karina Romero, Paisley Van Winkle, and Gracie Mathis as Romero steps up to the plate to start things off. We know what she did there in her last at-bat. She tied things up and scored the only run of the game so far for the Mustangs on a solo home run in the bottom of the 2nd. She hit one right over the left field wall as she watches strike one go by from Reese Reed. Reed has been pitching very well so far tonight in this matchup. She's got 5 strikeouts in the circle for the Tigers. The 0-1 pitch to Romero gets Romero swinging, and the count goes to 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes is the count for the leadoff batter, Karina Romero. The 0-2 is high for a ball, and the count will go to 1-2. The 1-2 misses for a ball, even sings out at 2-2. As we take a look at the way both these teams came to a close on their regular season, by the way. We know with Lenox, they had to get through another postseason game to get to this point where they got a 13-3 win over East Mills to get to this point. And that is, I was going to do that. My Wi-Fi just crashed on me, so give me a quick minute to get those games pulled up for you. I know how Murray ended their season on a loss to Seymour 3-2, but before that, they were able to get wins over Moravia as this one's hit on. It'll go directly to third baseman Ashlyn Ali, who makes the grab for out number one. How about that? A line out to Ali for the first out for Romero. And Paisley Van Winkle, I believe the center fielder now for Murray, steps up to the plate. Van Winkle takes a swing at one outside, and the count goes to 0-1. As I was saying, Murray in their last 5, they lost their last one to Seymour, but they won the game prior to that over Moravia. The one prior to that, they took a 6-1 loss to the number 4 team here in Class 1A, Southeast Warren, and then in a doubleheader, they picked up 2 wins over Moulton Udell. As the 0-1 pitch to Van Winkle is in the dirt for a ball, the count goes to 1-1. Now looking at Lenox's last 5 games, like I said, a 13-3 win there to open up the postseason against East Mills, but their last regular season game, they took a loss to Mount Air. Well, then before that, they won their 3 games prior to that. Griswold, Clorinda, Lamoni, all wins for Lenox, and that Clorinda win also very impressive as they were ranked number 13 there in Class 3A on their IGSHAU's ranking. Here's the 2-1 to Van Winkle. It's in the dirt for ball 3, and now a hitter's count for Paisley Van Winkle at 3 balls and 1 strike. The 3-1 is hit on directly back to Reed at the end of the circle, who makes the play at first. A nice turn of the glove there by Reed. Then sets her feet, makes the throw to get Van Winkle out at first. Gracie Mathis, the left fielder, steps up to the plate. Mathis had a single there in her first at-bat. And with nobody on and 2 outs, the Mustangs need to get something going here pretty quickly. They don't want this one to get too far away from him here towards the end of the game. Mathis watches a ball go by. The count goes to 1-0. Here is the 1-0 pitch to Mathis. It's low in the dirt for ball 2. The count goes to 2-0. By the way, that Fremont Mills Stanton game continuing along. Stanton now leads at 12-5 over Fremont Mills through 4 innings in that one. So Dusty Scahill, he's on the call of that one on the KMA X stream. You can go over to KMAland.com and click on his link as well to listen in to the rest of that matchup. Or you can listen in to the rest of this one. It's 8-1. Lenox holds a lead over Murray in the bottom of the 4th. The 3-0 pitch to Gracie Mathis is in there for strike 1, and the count goes to 3-1. Here is the 3-1. This one's hit on. It will get in between third and short for a base hit. Gracie Mathis, 2 singles to start off her day, 2 for 2 for the Mustangs here in the bottom of the 4th, and Maddie Hendricks, the now second baseman, I believe, steps up to the plate. Hendricks struck out there in her first at-bat, but she's got a base runner on first with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th with an opportunity to do something a little different. These teams have met by Varsity Bounds count a total of 35 different times since 2007, being in the Varsity Bound era. Murray has won 27 of those matchups, so a 27-8 lead there for Murray in all-time games against Lenox. As this one is hit on by Hendricks, it goes to shortstop Sadie Cox, who makes the play, sets her feet, makes the throw over at first for out number 3. That's how the inning comes to a close. 8-1, Lenox still leads it as we enter the 5th inning here on the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com.
Is believing. That's what you'll hear from customers that choose Barrett Auto Center of Glenwood time and time again. Barrett customers come in for vehicles and service work, but they come back for conversation and honest advice. They want one of the largest pre-owned and fully serviced inventories in KMA land, and they return when they've gone elsewhere and it just isn't the same. See and believe for yourself how little differences add up to a better car buying experience. Come back to Barrett's and Barrett'sAutoCenter.com.
Sure what you want to do with your life? Feel like your job is at a standstill? Get your foot in the door with area manufacturing companies at Iowa Western Community College's SEAM program. Sign up now in the Center of Excellence for Advanced Manufacturing through IWCC. Classes are just 2 early evenings a week with holidays and summers off. Improve your current skills and learn new ones that will give you a new career or even enhance your current one. For more information on SEAM, contact IWCC's Clarinda Center at 712-542-5117.
Welcome back here into the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com. Lenox holds an 8-1 lead over Murray as we enter the top of the 5th. Time is getting dire for Murray as they find themselves trailing by 7 runs. 7 of those runs were scored in the top of the 3rd for Lenox. That's a top of the 3rd I'm sure that they're going to remember for quite some time, as it ends up being massive at this point. We'll see if it ends up being big towards the end of the night. Lenox getting set to bat their 9-1-2 hitters. Kinsey Menifee, the right fielder, at the plate right now. She takes a swing at one, and the count evens up at 1-1. Presley Van Winkle now working in the zone, or in the circle for the 2nd inning tonight. She made it through a complete inning there in the top of the 4th as she struck out 3 batters in a row with no balls thrown. 9 pitches for Van Winkle there in the 4th inning, and 3 strikeouts for the senior pitcher. The count moves to 1-2 for Kinsey Menifee, the right fielder. Here is the pitch. Menifee takes a swing on, can't make contact. 4 straight strikeouts for Van Winkle, and all 4 batters she's faced, she's sent back to the dugout with a strikeout. Now things get a little bit more difficult, though, for Van Winkle as the Tigers turn it to the top of their order. Zoe Reed, the center fielder, steps up to the plate for the 4th time tonight. Reed had a single there in her last at-bat where she drove in 2 runs. She also walked in her first at-bat where she herself got around and scored a run as well. She watches ball 1 go by. This one is hit on by Reed. It'll go foul out of play, and the count will even out at 1-1. The winner of this one, awaiting the winner of that Fremont Mills-Stanton matchup going on over in Tri-Center. Or excuse me, that one's happening in Fremont Mills. I don't know why I kept saying that one was happening in Tri-Center. In Fremont Mills. Here's the 2-1. By Van Winkle in to Reed. It's hit on foul by Zoe Reed. The count will even out at 2-2. Elsewhere in this region tonight, Lamoni and Riverside there at the top of the region, going on at it for a regional quarterfinal matchup. Bedford, Mount Air. That's another regional quarterfinal here in this region, as this one's hit on by Reed. It'll go foul. And then the Murray, Lenox, Fremont Mills, Stanton are the other 2 games going on here in Class 1A Region 6. Here's the 2-2 pitch. It is low and away for ball 3, and that moves the count full now for leadoff hitter Zoe Reed and Presley Van Winkle, the senior pitcher. Here is the full count pitch. It is hit on by Reed off the home plate. Also goes off of Reed's helmet. As the count will stay at full. We'll get to see another payoff pitch here in just a moment. Here is that payoff pitch. It is outside for ball 4. Zoe Reed takes first for the walk. Van Winkle's first base runner given up here tonight, as Izzy Curtis, the designated player, steps up to the plate. Curtis reached on a fielder's choice there in her first at-bat, where she got thrown out on her way to home by left fielder Gracie Matthews. And now she also walked there in her second at-bat, where she got around and scored a run. Zoe Reed takes off for second. She'll get there in time. A stolen bag for Zoe Reed puts a runner in scoring position now for the Tigers. Here's the 1-0 pitch to Curtis. Curtis looks to lay down a bunt. She doesn't pull back. The strike is called, and the count evens up at 1-1. Murray was the 2 seed here in this region, now finds themselves in an upset situation where they've got a 8-1 deficit to the Lenox Tigers. Izzy Curtis watches ball 2 go high. That moves the count to 2 balls and 1 strike. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Inside for ball 3, and now a hitter's count for Izzy Curtis, the designated player. Curtis, the senior. The 3-1 pitch to her is high and away for ball 4. Putting another one on with a walk does Murray. Back-to-back walks for Van Winkle in the circle, and Sadie Cox, the shortstop, steps up to the plate. Cox has walked twice tonight. She also got on with an error, and they will intentionally walk Sadie Cox to load the bases and bring up the 4-hitter, Reese Reed, who has been just as deadly at the plate tonight. Reed has 2 singles on the evening, 1 RBI. She's scored a run for herself. She's also gotten on with a walk as well. Reed moves to third, Curtis over on second, and Cox is at first as this one's popped up by Reese Reed, and that's how she'll go down as Karina Romero, the catcher, gets underneath of it, makes the grab for out number 2, and that's a big one there for Murray. Is now, instead of the 4-hitter being up with 1 out and the bases loaded, now you got the 5-hitter up with 2 outs, and still the bases loaded for the Tigers here in this one, but much easier to get out of instead of with 1 out. Piper Brokaw, the catcher at the plate. She's walked once here in this one. She grounded out as well and flew out to left. The 0-1 pitch into Brokaw. Misses the strike zone, evens things out at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike is the count. This one is popped up by Brokaw. It won't leave the infield as it's going to drop for an error, and 2 runs will come across for the Tigers on the error. Both Zoe Reed and Izzy Curtis used that good awareness on the base path to take off as soon as contact was made, even though it was out number 2. Leads to an error that puts Piper Brokaw on first. Sadie Cox over on second. And in a situation where it looked like Murray was finally going to be able to get out of the inning with no runs, no harm, a big-time error plagues them, and 2 runs get in for the Tigers. Jolyn Christensen steps up to the plate. Christensen walked back in the 3rd inning, got around and scored a run for the Tigers there in that 7-run top of the 3rd. Jalen Christensen, the junior, as a hit by pitch puts Jalen Christensen. By the way, I've been calling you Jolyn Christensen all night long. Please forgive me on that one. The scorecard must have looked too closely to Jolyn. It's Jalen Christensen ends up on first after getting hit by pitch. loads the bases back up as Piper Brokaw moves over to second. Sadie Cox moves to third. Hadley Christensen, the second baseman, steps up to the plate. And actually, it's also Gracie Brokaw now on second instead of Piper Brokaw. They did give her a courtesy runner, being the catcher. As Hadley Christensen down in the count 0-1. The 0-1 pitch is over the head of Christensen, evens things out at 1-1. Which another thing that's kind of important to note, if the Tigers are able to plate one more run, I believe the run rule isn't effect, but I think that they'll still have to play that bottom of the fifth as a run does come across. A pass ball scores Sadie Cox, bringing the Tigers up 11-1. So, yeah, I believe they have to play through that bottom of the fifth regardless. And the Mustangs are going to have to play to run there in the bottom of the fifth to keep their season alive, as the run rule is currently in play here in the top of the fifth. Sadie Cox got in there on the pass ball. Also, Gracie Brokaw moves to third. Jalen Christensen moves to second. And Hadley Christensen takes a big swing in one and evens the count up at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes is the count. Here's the pitch from Van Winkle to Christensen. Christensen takes a swing at one. They say she did go. I was going to say, if they were originally not going to rule as she did, she does go for a strike, number 3, and that's how the inning comes to a close. But the Tigers are able to plate 3 more runs, giving them an 11-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the fifth. We'll be back on the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com right after this.
Salvage in Bartlett is no stranger to the ups and downs of owning and operating a small business. But no matter how much changes on their end, there's one thing that will always stay the same for their customers. It's cash. Call for the best scrap metal prices in the area and go ahead and test their unloading times. Then, when all is said and done, that's right, leave with cash. J-Dog Salvage, Bartlett, Iowa, 402-290-3124. That's 402-290-3124.
Since 1892, Malvern Bank has been building community from 404 Main Street in Malvern, Iowa. For generations, Malvern Bank has been serving local businesses, families, and farms to help them achieve their goals in every step of their lives. From saving for college to planning for retirement and everything in between, Malvern Bank is your full-service community bank. Call, click, or stop in today to apply for an account, loan, or credit card. Malvern Bank, we build community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back here into Creston. Lenox holds an 11-1 lead over Murray in this Class 1A Region 6 quarterfinal matchup. And the Mustangs, are going to have to find a way to plate a run, or the season will come to a close as they currently trail it by 10 runs, 11-1. Presley Van Winkle, the now pitcher, in at the plate for the Mustangs to start things off. The 9-hitter, they'll go 9-1-2. Presley Van Winkle, Leah Frederick, and then Ayla Miller. That if anybody gets on, Kirsten Klein will step up there as well for Murray. If you missed it there in the top of the 6th, the Tigers were able to plate 2 runs on a big error that probably would have ended the inning there. As this one is hit on by Van Winkle, it'll drop in center field for a base hit. And a leadoff single for Presley Van Winkle. Actually, and they are going to give the pitcher a courtesy runner. It'll be number 32, Mallory Page. Mallory Page now over at first as a courtesy runner for the pitcher, Presley Van Winkle. And the Murray Mustangs will turn it to the top of their order. Leah Frederick and Ayla Miller. Leah Frederick, the center fielder, stepping up to the plate. Frederick has struck out twice in this one so far tonight. Here's the first pitch from Reese Reed to Leah Frederick here in the bottom of the 5th. It is Low for a ball. The count goes to 1-0. This one is hit on. It will get through for a base hit. Murray puts 2 runners on now. Back-to-back singles as Leah Frederick ends up on first with a single herself. Ayla Miller, the right fielder, steps up to the plate with runners on first and second and no outs for the Mustangs here as they look to keep their season alive. Ayla Miller had a single there in the third, bottom of the third, that is. As Reese Reed's first pitch to her misses for a ball, the count goes to 1-0. The last update I have still of that Fremont Mills Stanton matchup. Stanton still leads at 12-4. They're all the way through 4 innings in that one. The winner of this one moves on to play either Stanton or Fremont Mills, whoever comes out on top of this one. This one's hit on hard there by Ayla Miller. It will be grabbed there in center field by Zoe Reed. Reed got another nice jump at it in center field. Ended up underneath of it, making the grab for out number 1. And it also was so close to the ground that it held both Frederick and Van Winkle on second and first, so neither of them able to tag up on the line out from Ayla Miller. As Kirsten Klein, the third baseman, steps up to the plate. Klein popped out to center there in her first at-bat, and she got on with a walk in her second. Here's the 1-0. This one is inside for a ball. The count goes to 2-0. That pitch from Reed also misses for a ball. Now 3 straight balls from Reese Reed gives Kirsten Klein a 3-0 count. Misses for a ball, and the count goes to 4-0. A walk for Kirsten Klein. Loads the bases for the Mustangs here in the bottom of the 5th. Malia Berry, the shortstop, steps up to the plate. Berry lined out there in her last at-bat into a double play, and then also struck out there in her first at-bat. She's got an opportunity here to drive in a couple runs and keep the Murray season going as they find themselves down 10, 11-1 with the bases loaded and 1 out. The 4-5 hitters due up here for the Mustangs. Malia Berry, Karina Romero, all at the and now Lenox head coach Andy Stokes going to have a quick conversation with her infield and her pitcher Reese Reed. I don't think they will elect to make any movements or anything in the circle. Keep Reese Reed in there. She's been playing well all night tonight, just giving up the 1 run, and happened to be a home run there by 5-hitter Karina Romero, who is up next, by the way. So that's something to look at as well if we get to that point, you know, avoiding a double play or something like that. As they will elect to keep Reese Reed in the circle there. Stokes ended up bringing in the whole roster, or the whole lineup there for Lenox, as even the outfielders came in, had a quick conversation with Reed in the circle. 1 ball, no strikes is the count towards Kirsten Klein. Or excuse me, Malia Berry. Kirsten Klein's over on first after the walk. The 1-0 is low and in the dirt for ball 2. Two balls, no strikes is the count now. The pitch misses high for ball 3, and now 3 straight balls. Again, actually this is 7 straight balls for Reese Reed, and I make it 8 as she walks in a run Presley Van Winkle gets in on the walk-in, and it keeps the bases loaded as Leah Frederick moves to third. Ayla Miller moves to second. Or excuse me, Ayla Miller not out there right now. Kirsten Klein moves to second, and Malia Berry takes first. Karina Romero, the catcher, steps up to the plate. Romero had that solo home run in her first at-bat. This one's hit on by Romero, deep into center field, way deep in, way gone. A grand slam from Karina Romero puts Murray right back in a situation where this game is much closer. That moves it from an 11-2 Lenox lead to an 11-6 Lenox lead. And just like that, we're back to another 5-run lead. This was a 10-run lead here entering the bottom of the 5th. Romero trying to put the team on her back and lead them to a win as a 4 grand slam clears the bases for the Mustangs. Paisley Van Winkle, the second baseman, steps up to the plate. Van Winkle hits one right back to Reese Reed, who makes the grab and throw over to first for out number 2.
Now batting for the Mustangs, left fielder, number 11, Gracie Mathis.
Gracie Mathis, the left fielder, steps up to the plate. Mathis, the left fielder, has 2 singles in this one so far tonight. 2 for 2. As this one is hit on by Mathis. It goes foul down the third baseline. A nice, powerful swing there by Gracie Mathis, but she just gets out in front of it and pulls it too far. Goes foul. Karina Romero, 2 home runs in this game. She's had something to do with 5 of the 6 runs that Murray has been able to plate here tonight. Mathis ends up on first, getting hit by pitch. And now Maddie Henrik steps up to the plate. And if you're Reese Reed right now in the circle, you just got to tell yourself to calm down a little bit. That you're still up 5 runs. You know, the game is still in your control. Just got to not allow it to get any worse here in this inning as Murray continuing to put the pedal down. Maddie Hendricks, the pitcher, or now second baseman, steps up to the plate. Hendricks grounded out there in her last at-bat. She struck out in her first. She's got a runner on first with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. The 0-1 pitch misses for ball 1, and the count evens up at 1-1. One is the count for Reese Reed with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. This one's hit on by Hendricks. It goes foul out of play, and the count moves to 1-2. And Reese Reed is a strike away from getting the Tigers out of this inning where they've given up 5 runs so far today in this inning. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Hendricks. It is low and away for ball 2, and the count evens up at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes is the count. Here's the pitch. It's high and away for ball 3. And Reese Reed trying not to give up another batter to the walk. That would be she's walked 2 batters and hit 1 already in this inning. Here's the full count pitch. It's in the dirt for ball 4, and another walk for Reese Reed. Puts another base runner on for the Mustangs. As they've hit all the way through their order, Presley Van Winkle, the pitcher, steps up to the plate. Van Winkle got on with a walk there in her first at-bat, and now head coach Mandy Stokes is going to have a quick conversation with their team, and it looks like we're going to have some changes. Looks like they're going to swap Zoe Reed in to pitch now. She'll take over for Reese Reed, who gave up 5 runs here in this bottom of the 5th, and it'll be time for a change of pace for the Tigers. We stay here at the bottom of the 5th. We'll go ahead and let Zoe Reed get warmed up here for just a minute. We'll be back on the KMA Extreme and KMAland.com right after this.
Nutrien Ag Solutions takes the responsibility of growing seriously. As a leader in the ag sector, they provide their customers with complete agriculture solutions, including nutrients, crop protection products, seed, service, and digital tools for optimum customer success. Talk with Nutrien Ag Solutions in Westboro, Coyne, Percival, and Essex. Nutrien Ag Solutions, transforming agriculture and feeding the future.
Agricultural business majors at Northwest Missouri State University gain the knowledge and the experiences of agriculture as well as business foundations. Northwest's faculty focuses on 4 core areas: agricultural finance, agricultural marketing, agricultural policy, and economics of agricultural production. Career opportunities in this field at Northwest include agricultural sales representative, grain merchandising, agricultural lender, operations manager, and claims adjuster. Find out more about an agricultural business major at Northwest Missouri State University.
Welcome back here into Creston. 11-6 is the Lenox lead, but Murray trying to carve back into it. They've already done so a little bit after coming into this inning down 11-1. They've put on 5 runs here in the bottom of the 5th, making it an 11-6 ball game. Zoe Reed, the new pitcher in the circle for the Tigers here for the time being. Reese Reed through the entirety here. Well, she pitched through, it's been 5 2/3, or 4 2/3 there for Reese Reed, and now Zoe Reed, the senior, comes in to finish it off. Zoe Reed, 21 games pitched this year, 12 starts. She's seen 62 innings, a 3.91 ERA, 42 strikeouts, as this one is hit on by 2 shortstops, Sadie Cox. Cox just tried to toss it over to third, but Ali goes over the head there of Ali, and that loads the bases on another error here in the 5th. We go back to the top of the order. Leah Frederick, the center fielder, steps up to the plate for the 2nd time in this inning. The Mustangs have batted all the way through. Frederick had a single there in her first at-bat of this inning. She got around and scored a run, as this one's high. Brokaw had to leap for it, making sure it doesn't get past for some more runs to get across for the Mustangs as they try and get back into this one as closely as they can. Frederick up in the count 1-0. Here is the 1-0. This one's hit on by Frederick. Allie knocks it down over at the third base. She throws it across the diamond to Stokes at first for out number 3. That's how the inning comes to a close, but Murray keeps their season alive here, plating 5 runs there in the bottom of the 5th. We go to the top of the 6th, 11-6 here on the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com. We'll be back right after this.
OSI is considered a premier global food provider by many of the world's leading brands. OSI delivers leading-edge food solutions for product development as well as processing. Much of it is done from their Oakland, Iowa plant. Being a leader in the industry allows OSI Oakland to give back to their communities by sponsoring area high school events, offering special programs for veterans, and other community outreach programs. Well, to learn more, visit osigroup.com and search for the Oakland, Iowa location.
No one succeeds alone. It takes support to get there, sacrifices made by others, wisdom learned and passed on. When your business is agriculture, you dedicate your life to supporting community, doing the hard work that helps all of us thrive. It's why at PCSB, we believe in supporting you. Your success makes our community succeed. PCSB, we believe in you. Visit us online at wearepcsb.com. Member FDIC.
Welcome back here into the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com. Lenox holds an 11-6 lead over Murray, where they would have had a chance to get out of here early here via the run rule. They were up 11-1 entering the bottom of the fifth, but a 5-run bottom of the fifth for the Murray Mustangs, thanks to the help of a Karina Romero grand slam over the center field wall. Got every piece of it as well to add on to the 5 runs there scored in the bottom of the fifth. Now the Lenox Tigers will turn it back to their offense. Ashlyn Ali, the third baseman, steps up to the plate for the fourth time tonight. Ali 0 for 3 on the night with a pop-up, ground out, and a strikeout. The 0-1 to Ali, swung on and missed, and the count goes to 0-2 now. Fremont Mills creeping a little bit closer there in Fremont Mills as that lead now for Stanton just 12-9. It was 12-5 at one point, but the Vikings letting the Knights get back into that one. It'll be a fun finish over in Fremont Mills. Dusty Scahill's on the call of that one on the KMA Extreme. You can click out of this link if you're listening right now and go listen to that one, or you could just stick around and listen to this fun finish as well. As Ashlyn Ali hits this one on, it goes to third baseman Kirsten Klein. Klein tries to make the throw over to first. It gets away from the first baseman for an error, and Ali will move all the way to third on the error, putting a runner in scoring position early for the Tigers. Kinsey Menifee, the right fielder, steps up to the plate. That one wasn't fielded exactly clean by Klein over at third, but still a missed throw for the third baseman moves the runner all the way from first to third. And now Kinsey Menifee, the right fielder, like I said, steps up to the plate. Menifee 0 for 2, on the day. She popped out and struck out, and then back in the third, she got on with a walk where she was able to get around and score a run for the Tigers. Here's the 1-0. She looks to lay down a bunt. A perfect bunt is placed by Menifee. Romero, the catcher, stands up to grab it and just holds on to it, electing not to make a throw anywhere, because if she did throw it, Ali would have been headed home. A perfectly executed bunt there by Kinsey Menifee as it just dies in front of the plate. And now the Tigers turn it to the top of their order. Zoe Reed steps up to the plate for the 5th time tonight with no out. Reed watches a ball go by as she looked to bunt, pulls back. Ali's over at third. Menifee now moves to second on a stolen base. 2 runners in scoring position for the Tigers in the top of the order. Zoe Reed looks to lay down a bunt. She pops one directly up for Van Winkle to make a big play, run out of the circle, and makes the grab for out number 1. Zoe Reed just got underneath of that bunt, pops it up for the first out. Izzy Curtis, the designated player, steps up to the plate. Curtis 0 for 1 on the night. She reached on an error there in the first inning, then reached on 2 walks. She scored 2 runs so far for the Tigers tonight. She also flew out to right there in the 3rd inning. Runners on 2nd and 3rd with 1 out for the Tigers as Curtis hits this one on foul. The count goes to 0-2. That Mount Air Bedford game did go final. Mount Air gets a 10-0 win over Bedford. They're moving on to a regional semifinal matchup. They are awaiting the winner of that Lamoni Riverside matchup. And then on this side of the bracket, in a regional quarterfinal play, Lenox and Murray going at it right now, and then the winner will take on the winner of Fremont Mills Stanton, who is also going on the other KMA Extreme tonight. Izzy Curtis, after going down 0-2, able to even the count up at 2-2, watching 2 balls go by. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out for the Tigers. The 2-2 is hit on by Curtis deep into left field, way back at the left field wall. It will bounce off the left field wall into the warning track Izzy Curtis with a 2 RBI double to extend the Lenox lead 13-6 now here in the top of the 6th with 1 out. A stand-up double there that drives in 2 runs for the designated player, Curtis. Drives in both Ali and Menifee for runs. Sadie Cox, the shortstop, steps up to the plate. Cox has got a runner in scoring position over on second, being Curtis after the stand-up double. The first pitch from Van Winkle to Cox misses high and outside for a ball, and the count goes to 1-0. That pitch from Van Winkle misses for ball 2. The count goes to 2-0 early. Fremont Mills is able to get another one back from Stanton. That game is now 12-10. Stanton leads it. This one is hit on by Cox. Kirsten Klein, the third baseman, makes the stop and the throw over at first for out number 2. It does move Izzy Curtis, however, from second to third. So Curtis now a base closer to plating another run for the Tigers, but the sacrifice play has been eliminated now with 2 outs here in this inning. Reese Reed, the former pitcher, now steps up to the plate. Reed in this one, 2 singles, a walk. She's got 1 RBI, a run scored as well, and she's in her most recent at-bat, she did fly out to the catcher there in the 5th inning. This one is a pass ball that Izzy Curtis takes off. She will score. The Tigers score another run on a pass ball as Izzy Curtis gets in, extending the lead 14-6 now over the Murray Mustangs. So now the bases are cleared for Reese Reed and the Tigers, but they are working with 2 outs. Here's the 1-1 pitch to from Van Winkle, to Reed. It's hit on. It goes to the shortstop, Malia Berry, who makes the play over at first for out number 3. And actually, was that for sure Berry over at short? It was. So that's how the inning comes to a close. 14-6, Lenox leads it here on the KMA Extreme at KMAland.com. We'll be back right after this.
With a chronic respiratory condition, Rogers Pharmacy can provide what you need. Rogers Pharmacy offers a full line of respiratory equipment like oxygen, BiPAP, CPAP, and nebulizers. Rogers Pharmacy isn't a big box pharmacy where you may have to wait for days and weeks to get what you need. They're a full-service, independent, family-owned pharmacy, and they go above and beyond to offer you the quality service and products you deserve. See Rogers Pharmacy in Tarkio, Maryville, Mound City, St. Joseph, and Stanberry, Missouri. Visit Rogers Pharmacy online at rogersrx.com.
This is Sid with Schaff Ag near Trainer. I'm learning all of the ins and outs of agronomy with my dad, Shane. I've learned that Pioneer seed is second to none and that they back that up with proven products and yields. I've also learned that if our customers have a question or a concern, we'll work until we figure out the answer or solution. I'm learning all of this because at Schaff Ag, we've made a commitment, and that commitment is our family helping yours. Call Shane at 712-520-1333.
Welcome back here into Creston as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Lenox leads at 14-6 over Murray, and Murray again in a situation where they have to play to run to keep the season alive because with the IGHSAU's rules, it's 8 runs after 5 innings. The run rule can come in force, and that's what the Tigers lead it right now by is 8 on the dot. But we know how that ended up there in the last inning. Before the Tigers could put the game away, the Mustangs plated 5 runs to keep their season going. Starting things off for the Mustangs, Ayla Miller, the right fielder, gets set to bat. As this one is hit on by Miller, goes to shortstop Sadie Cox. Cox plays it perfectly, makes a throw at first for out number 1, and that's how the first one goes down. Kirsten Klein, the third baseman, steps up to the plate for her fourth at-bat. Klein has walked in her last two. She got around and scored a run there in the last inning. She was one of the ones that got in on Karina Romero's grand slam. As this one she hits on, it goes foul. And the count moves to 0-1. So like I said, the Mustangs got to get something going here. Got to get a run across in the bottom of the sixth. 0-1 is the count for Kirsten Klein. This one's hit on. It'll get through for a base hit. It'll get through short and second, that is, for a base hit, and a single with an out here in the bottom of the sixth gives the Murray Mustangs their first base runner of the inning. Malia Berry, the shortstop, steps up to the plate. Berry walked there in her last at-bat, got around and scored a run. Again, another one off of Romero's grand slam. As this one is hit on, it goes directly back to Zoe Reed in the circle, who runs it over to first and tosses it for out number 2. And now Karina Romero, the catcher, steps up to the plate. We know what Karina Romero has done so far at the plate. She had a solo shot there in the top of the second, and then a grand slam in the top of the fifth, and Lenox won't even let her bat another time. She'll take first on the intentional walk. That also moves runners to first and second. So now there's a force out on first, second, and third, as Klein was the one on second. Paisley Van Winkle, the second baseman, steps up to the plate. Actually, Van Winkle now might be the center fielder. I'm not actually sure. I didn't catch where they moved around after they moved Presley Van Winkle into the circle. As Paisley watches strike one go by, the count evens up at 1-1. The 1-1 is grounded back to Zoe Reed, who makes the play at first for out number 3. And that is how the bottom of the sixth will come to a close, and that's how the game will come to an end. 14-6. Lenox wins it over Murray here, and Murray tried to get back into it there in the bottom of the fifth, the bottom of the fifth after a 5-run, but that top of the third that was 7 runs plated for Lenox was just too much for the Mustangs to get back into. 14-6. Lenox wins it from Creston. For the KMA Extreme at KMA Land, I'm Tate Namey. I will have a full rundown of this game at KMAland.com in story format. You can read that later on this evening. But again, for KMA Sports, I'm Tate Namey. Lenox wins it 14-6 here tonight